Hello guys, welcome to another video. This one is paper 2-2 of May-June 2016. So let's move on to question number 1. So here we have what? Given that x squared plus 2kx plus 4k minus 3 has no real roots, show that k satisfies this equation. So whenever you see no real roots, it means b squared minus 4ac has to be less than 0. Okay, so now what is a? A is 1, b is this, and c is this. So b squared will be 2k squared minus 4 times a and times c, which is 4k minus 3, and that has to be less than 0. Now we just have to expand and simplify. That will become 4k squared minus, this is 4 times 1 is 4, so 4 times 4, that will be 16k, and plus 12 is less than 0. Now we can divide by 4 everywhere. Divide by 4, you will have k squared minus 4k plus 3 is less than 0, and this is shown as required. Okay, that is for part 1. Now for part 2, we have to solve the inequality. So when solving this, we have to first find the critical values. So critical values is taking the same equation, and we have to equate the equation to 0. Now, how would you find that? You have to factorize k, and this is 3 times 1. To get minus 4, we have to have minus 3 minus 1. So k will be 1 and k will be 3. Now, to find the correct values of x, we have to look at our graph. So this is the line 0, and this is 1 here. Because it is positive, it will look like this. Now, these two here will be your critical values, which is 1 and 3. And since we want the equation to be less than 0, we want it to be below the line, and that is only possible if the values are between 1 and 3. So your answer will be x is between 1 and 3. That is question number 1. Now let's move on to question number 2. So variables x and y are related by this equation. First part is to find dy by dx. So since it is a fraction, we have to use the quotient rule. So dy by dx is equal to, the base will be 3 minus x times d by dx of the numerator, that will be 5, then minus the numerator times d by dx of the base, that will be this, and everything divided by the square of the base. Okay, so you will have this. Now we have to simplify. So the top will give you what? So let's do that. That will be expand. You will have 15 minus 5x. So minus become plus. So plus 5x and minus 1. And that is, of course, over this one, which is 3 minus x squared. Now we have to finally simplify. This one cancel out. You will have 14 over 3 minus x squared. That is your dy by dx. Now for part 2, find the approximate change in x when y increases from 9 by a small amount of this. Okay, so let's see. So we have to find the approximate change in x. It is equal to dx by dy at the value of y equal to 9 times the change of 0.07. So what is this value? Here we have dy by dx, so dx by dy will become, so we just have to flip this upside down. So dy by dx is going to be 3 minus x squared over 14. Now the value of y is 9, so what is the value of x we have to replace in the equation? So go back to your main equation here. If the value of y is 9, what is the value of x? So we have 9 equal to 5x minus 1 over 3 minus x. So we cross multiply, you will have 27 minus 9x is equal to 5x minus 1. That will be 14x equal to 28. X will be 2. Okay, so basically we have to find the value of dx by dy at the value of x equal to 2. At x equal to 2, that will give you 3 minus 2 is 1. 1 squared is 1 over 14. So your answer will be 1 over 14 times 0.07. That will be 0.005. That will be your answer for question number 2. Now let's move on to question number 3. A team of 3 people is to be selected, so we need 3 people in the team, from 7 women and 6 men. Now, find the number of different teams that can be selected if there must be more women than men in the team. So we need 3 people, right? Then we have 7 women and 6 men. Okay, so we need more women, so we can have 3 women and 0 men. We can have 2 women and 1 man. So these are only the 2 choices, because if you keep going down, you will have 1 woman and 2 men, and this one is not possible because we need more women than men. So that will be from 7 women choose 3 times from 6 we choose 0. 7 choose 2 times 6 choose 1. That will be what? 7 choose 3 times 6 choose 0. 7c2 times 6 choose 1. That'll be 126. That should be 161 number of ways. Okay, and that will be your question number 2. So number 3. Now let's move on to question number 4. Do not use a calculator in this question, so you have to show every step of your work, okay? So P of x is equal to this equation. It has a factor of x minus 2. So let's find the value of x. So x minus 2 equate to 0. X will be 2. So it means that when you do P of 2 for this value, it is supposed to give you 0 because it is a factor of this polynomial. Now just replace here, you will have 2. 2 power 3 is 8, minus 3. 2 power 2 is 4, plus q, x is 2, and plus 5, 6 equal to 0. Now we have to simplify. 2 times 8 minus 3 times 4 plus 5, 6. That will be what? That will be 2q plus 60. So q will be minus 30. This is shown as required. Now for part 2, factorize p of x completely and hence state all the solutions of this. So first thing we have to factorize. So to factorize a cubic function, we need to find all the roots, and to do that we have to do a long division. So basically, p of x is now equal to 2x cubed minus 3x squared minus 30x plus 5, 6. And the root is given to you by factor is this one, right? Now we have to find the other factors. So one way is to, we have to make this become this. So how can you make x become 2x cubed? You have to multiply it by 2 first and then x squared. Okay, so you will have 2x cubed, and this multiply this will be minus 4x squared. And let's see what happens. So this one goes away. So minus 3 plus 4, that will be 1x squared. Minus 30 plus 5, 6. Now let's see what else we have. We have what? Now we have to make this become x squared. So we plus the value of x. So that will become x squared minus 2x plus 56. So this is 0. So this is not here yet, sorry. So this goes out, and we have minus 30 plus 2, minus 28, x plus 5, 6. Now we have to make x becomes minus 28x, so we times by minus 28. That becomes minus 28x minus, so plus, because minus become plus 56. That will be cancelled out. So basically we realize that p of x can be written as x minus 2 times this one, which is 2x squared plus x minus 28. Now let's factorize this one. Let's see what happens. X minus 2. So that will be 2x times x. And what are the factors of 28? 28 can be, we know 3, so 4 times 7. So we can use that here. So we can put 4 here and 7 here. So to get plus 1, we have to have plus 8 minus 1. Okay? That will be the factorization, complete factorization of p of x. And we have to state all the solutions of this equal to 0. So x will be 2, will be 7 over 2, and will be minus 4. So these three will be your solutions for that equation p of x. Let's move on to question number 5. So the coordinates of 3 points A, B, and C are given to you. So part 1, to find the coordinates of M, which is the midpoint of AB. So as you guys know, we have a formula for that. So midpoint is equal to x1 plus x2 divided by 2, and then y1 plus y2 divided by 2. So let's see what happens. X1 is minus 2, plus 6 is 4 divided by 2 will be 2. 6 plus 10 will be 16, that will be 8, right? So M will be the point 2, 8. That's the first step. Now part 2, given that CM is perpendicular to AB. So what can we derive from that? We can derive that the gradient of CM times the gradient of AB will give you the value of minus 1 because they are perpendicular to each other. So let's first find the gradient of AB. So how do we do that? We use the formula, which is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. That will be 4 over 8, that is half. Now replace back in the main equation, you have gradient of CM times half is equal to minus 1. So from this we realize that the value of gradient of CM is equal to minus 2. Now using this knowledge, we can find the value of P. So C is a point, P 0, and M is a point 2, 8. So let's find the gradient. So M CM, that will be y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. That will be minus 2. Then we cross multiply, you will have 8 is equal to minus 4 and plus 2p. So this will give you 2p is equal to 12. From this, p will be 6, and it is your value of p. Now following this, let's find the angle CMCB. So to help you with that, let's first make a drawing. As we guys know, we have the line AB, for example, it is in this direction. We have the midpoint here, which is M. M is a point 2, 8. B is given by 610. Let's say B is right here. And then we have the perpendicular bisector, which is CM, which is 6, 0. So here it is right angle, and we're trying to connect these two to form a triangle, right? So we're trying to find the angle M, this is MCB, so find this angle. So first, by observation, you will see that since the x is the same, 6, 6, the height only changes, so this height BC is 10. Now we can find the height, this height. So let's find the height MB. So that will be OB, which is 6, 10, minus OM, which is 2, 8. That will be minus 4 and 2. So find the length of MB. That will be square root of 16 plus 4. That will be 20. So that will be 20. Now to find the angle here, let's call this on theta. We have to use SOHCAHTOA. This is your O side and this is your H side. That will be using sine. Sine of theta will be the opposite side, which is root of 20 divided by 10. Now theta will be sine inverse of root of 20 divided by 10. So what is that value? Sine inverse, let's use degrees. That will be 26.6 degrees. And this is your answer for question number 5. Let's move on to question number 6. So the diagram shows a sector of a circle, as you can see, and radius is 5, so this is also 5 here. Now the length of the arc is 7 centimeters, and angle AOB is pi radians. So first one, explain why pi theta must be bigger than 1. So by observation you would say because arc length, which is AB, it is more than radius. That's why it should be more than 1. Okay. Now for part 2, find the value of theta. As you guys know, arc length AB is found by using your formula, which is r theta equal to 7. Radius is 5, theta we don't know, and 7. Theta will be 7 divided by 5, that will be 1.4 radians. And this is your answer for part 2. Now for part 3, calculate the area of the sector AOB. So again, using your formula, half r squared theta. So half is half times radius is 5 square, and the angle is 1.4 as we have found here. So let's find the value. Half 5 square times 1.4. That will be 17.5 will be the area of the sector. Now last question is to calculate the area of the shaded segment. So as you can see, the segment is this area. How would you find this area? You will first find the whole area, then minus the area of the triangle to get this segment. So how do you find area of triangle? We use our formula again. That will be half times sine of the angle in between, which is 1.4, and times the two sides, which is 5 and 5. That will be area of the triangle. Half times 5 times 5 times sine of the angle. Here we have to use radians, and that will be 12.3. So finally, we have to find the area of shaded segment. That will be 17.5 minus this one. That will be 5.18 centimeter square. And that will be your answer for question number 6. Let's move on to question number 7. The matrix A is given to you by this one and B is this. So part 1, find the matrix C such that this is true. So we just have to replace the values and see what happens. So C is equal to 3 times A will be 12, 15, 9, 6, and plus B is 4, 1, 2, 3. That is equal to 12 plus 4 is 16, 15 plus 3 is 17, 9 plus 1 is 10, and that will be 9. That is C. Now for part 2, show that the determinant of AB is equal to this times this. So let's do this. So let's first find AB. AB will be A, which is 4, 3, 5, 2, times B, 4, 1, 2, 3. That will be what? So rows by column. So 4 times 4 plus 5 times 1, that will be 21. And 4 times 2, so rows by this column, plus 5 times 3, that will be 23. 3 times 4 plus 2 times 1, that will be 14. And then finally 3 times 2 plus 2 times 3, that will be 12. Now from this we can find the determinant of AB. So that will be equal to cross multiply 21 times 12 is 2, 5, 2, minus 14 times 23, 3, 2, 2. That should be minus 70. So this is the first part here. And what is the determinant of A? So we know A is this one, this is A, and this is B, right? So let's find the determinants. Determinant of A is 8 minus 15. That will be minus 7. And determinant of B will be 12 minus 2, that will be 10. So if you observe, determinant of A times determinant of B that should give you minus 70, and these two are equal. So this is shown as required. Now for part 3, find the inverse matrix of AB. So we know AB is given by 21, 14, 23, and 12. So let's find the adjoint matrix of AB. That will be 12 goes up, 21 goes down, and then we have to change the sign of those two. Okay, so now we know the determinant as well. So AB inverse is equal to minus 1 over 70 times the adjoint matrix. Okay. Now if you want to simplify, you can bring this in, but you can leave it just like that for your answer as well. And that will be question number 7. Let's move on to question number 8. So find the coordinates of the point of intersection of this curve and the line. So we have to solve a simultaneous equation, right? Because they intersect. So here we have y is this, here we have this equation. So the first thing we can do here, let's try to simplify this. We have 4 plus equal to 0. Now let's make everyone have the same base. So here we have 1, right? So let's make everyone become, so this time this time this, you will have xy, and then we have to just multiply every number by this one. So 4 over 1 times this, it will be 4xy. 5 over this time this will be plus 5x, and this over this time this will be plus 3y is equal to 0. Now we just cross multiply, you will have 4xy plus 5x plus 3y is equal to 0. That is our first equation. Now here we have y. Just replace y in this two values, right? Let's see what happens. So you have 4xy, okay, plus 5x plus 3y is equal to 0. Now simplify, this will be 60x squared plus 40x plus 5x plus 45x plus 10 is equal to 0. Now simplify, 40 plus 5 plus 45, that should be 90x plus, this should be 30, sorry, 3 times 10 will be 30, and this is 60x squared is equal to 0. So now we can simplify, divide everyone by 30. You will have 2x squared plus 3x plus 1 equal to 0. Now we can factorize. So here we go, 2 brackets, this is 2x. x1 is 1 times 1. Now we have to put plus and plus to get plus 3. So x will be minus half, x will be minus 1. Now what is the corresponding value of y? Just replace back in your main equation, which is y equal to 15x plus 10. So y will be 15x is this one plus 10. That will be minus, so that is minus 7.5. So 15 divided by 0.5. So let's try that. 15 times 1.5 plus 10. That will be 2.5. And y will be 15 times minus 1 plus 10. That should be minus 5. So your points of intersection will be, first one is minus 0.5 and minus 2.5. And we have minus 1 and minus 5. And this will be your answer for question number 8. This is question number 9. So part A, find the integration of this one. So whenever you see something like this, you can always simplify. Just simplify. You will have x, this divided by this, you will have 1 plus 1 plus x power minus 2. That will become x squared over 2 plus x, and that will become minus power 1 plus c. And that is your answer for part 1. Now for part B, find this one. So pretty easy. When you integrate sine, what do you get? You get minus cos. Same thing here, you get minus cos of the angle 5x plus pi, but you have to divide by the differentiation of the inside, you will have 5 plus c. Now for part 2, we have to evaluate this one. Hence, meaning using the value from the first part, you have to, this is equal to this minus cos 5x plus this over 5 between 0 and minus pi by 5. Now let's see what happens here. So one by one, let's first put the value of 0. You will have 0 plus pi over 5. Then minus become plus, right? Because minus minus become plus. You have cos of, that will become minus, so that will be 0 over 5. Let's find the value. Minus cos of pi minus, so is 1 over 5. 1 over 5 plus cos of 0 is also 1. So 1 over 5 plus 1 over 5, that will be 2 over 5. And that will be your answer for question number 9. So let's move on to question number 10. The graph of the curve is y equal to this, okay? Passes through the points this and this. Find the values of p and q. Okay, so let's see what can we do now. So how can we find the values of p and q? So if you observe, this looks a lot like what? Like a quadratic equation. Because here you have what? You have x squared something squared. So let's just replace it easily to make it easy for us. Let's use the first point. First point is this is x and this is y. Okay. So on one side you will have 2 and here you will have p times x is 0, so 4 power 0 minus q times 4 power 0. That will be 2 is equal to p minus q. That is equation number 1. Now this one, also same thing, x and y. That will be y is 14, p. X is equal to 0.5, so 2 times 0.5 will be 1, so that is 4, minus q. And that will be 4 power half will be 2. So you have 14 is equal to 4p minus 2q. And that is 2. Now let's verify the, we have to solve this equation simultaneously. So as we can see here, we have, let's make p become your, well, we can just divide by 2 here to see what happens. Divide by 2, you will have a new equation. 7 equal to 2p minus q. Okay, that is your number 2. Now we can do something. We can take 1 and we can minus number 2. Okay, you'll see what happens. So 2 minus 7 will be minus 5. P minus this one will be minus p. This one will become 0. So from this you have p is equal to 5. So q, so we have replaced back in here, you have 2 is equal to 5 minus q. So q will be 3. So p is 5, q is 3. This is the two values that we need to find. Now for part B, the variables x and y are connected by this equation. Using the substitution, this, solve the exact value of x, y, and y is this. So let's see what can we do. So we have y equal to u squared minus 2u. Find the exact value of x when y equal to 24. So that is equal to 24. So first step is to send everything to one side. You will have u squared minus 2u minus 24 is equal to 0. Now we have to factorize. That will be u times u. That will be 6 times 4. That will be minus 6 plus 2. Plus 4, sorry. You get minus 2. X will be, so u will be 6. U will be minus 4. Now replace the value back. You will have 10 power x is equal to 6, or 10 power x is equal to minus 4. This one will be rejected because it cannot be negative. Okay, we can only have this value. Now, to get the value of x, we have to apply log. So let's do this here. So we have to apply log OLN on both sides. You will have log of 10. And you have x here, you have log of 6. That will be x is equal to log of 6. That is your answer for this one. Okay, but now you can also take ln. For example, if you take ln, you take ln on both sides, that will be x is equal to ln of 6 divided by ln of 10. Okay, that is also an answer, and this is also the answer. Difference is here we took log. Log means log of base 10. Okay, this is what this means. That's why log of 10 is just 1, so that's why it is the answer, or you can have this as your answer as well. Now for part C, let's solve this equation. So here we have to combine these two. You have log base 2, x plus 1 divide becomes, so minus become divide, that will be 3. Now we send this over here, you will have x plus 1 over x equal to 2 power 3, that will be 8. Then we have to cross multiply, you will have x plus 1 is equal to 8x. So 7x is equal to 1, x will be 1 over 7. And this is your question number 10. Let's move on to question number 11. So a function f is defined by all the real numbers by this one. This is your function f of x. Now find the greatest value of f of x and the value of x at which it occurs. So pretty easy, as you guys know already. At max or minimum value, we know that d by dx is going to be 0, right? So we just have to find f, so d of dx of f, that will give you 1 minus 2x. Equate to 0 to find the value of x. X will be half. So at this value of x, we will have a maximum value. Now replace this x in your equation, so f of half, that will give you half minus 1 over 4. And that will be 1 over 4 will be your maximum value. So let's just label this. This is your max value, and this is your max point. Okay, that will be for part 1. Now for part B, the domain of g of x is such that this one exists. Okay, explain why this one is a suitable domain for this. So it is important to understand here, when do we have an inverse? So we only have an inverse if your function is a one-to-one function. So for that, let's look at a graph of this one. So let's draw our axis. We have this and this, and we know that the maximum point is at half, and let's say this is right here. For example, this is your maximum point, right? So you will have this and you will have this, but the point here we want to know is this point. This is the point half, right? So if you were to draw a line right now, a line like this, you will see it will cut at 2 places. So that means if your graph is like this and you have a line cutting at 2 points, it means that it is not a one-to-one function. It cannot have an inverse. So it can only have an inverse if we try to define this for a different range. If you erase this part, for example, and if you only have this one left, then you see for one line you have one value of x, only then you can have an inverse. So by taking off these values of x, by leaving those values of x, or the other way around, you will have inverse. In this case, you can say g of x, so let's write this one. G inverse of x has an inverse for the domain of x is more than or equal to half. As you can see from the graph, you will have an inverse from this point on. And since x more than 1 is inside of this domain, we conclude that x, this one, is a suitable domain. I hope that makes sense, right? Because first we have to know when does it have an inverse. We realize that you will have an inverse for x is more than half. Now since we are trying to explain if that is possible, yes, because 1 should be about what point? Let's say 1 is here. So given that we know that 1 is after this point, it is possible, right? That's why it is suitable. So now let's say my question for you guys, what is the other, so what other domain we can have? What other domain we can have? So same observation. So you have your graph here. Your graph is like this usually. This is your point half. At first we define for x is more than half. But now what I can do also is I can try to erase this part as well. In that case, if I define x is less than half, it is also possible for it to have a domain. But in this case, it is this value, so we have to keep this as your domain. Okay, this is not part of the question. This is just for you guys to understand what are the possibilities of doing that. Now for part C, the function h and k are defined by these two. So first one, find this one. So first let's find this value, k of 10. So k of 10 will be 5 plus root of 9, that will be 8. So now we have to find h of 8. That will be log of 10, that will be 1. So why is that? Because log is actually log to the base of 10. And we know that log to the base of 10 to 10, that should be 1. That's why it is 1. Now for part 2, we have to find k inverse and stating its domain and range. So let's first find the inverse. So first step is to let y equal to k of x. K of x is 5 plus root x minus 1. So y minus 5 will be root x minus 1. So x minus 1 will be y minus 5 square. X will be 1 plus y minus 5 square. That is your value for x. Now let's write down the inverse, k inverse of x, 1 plus x minus 5 square. Okay, that will be your inverse. Now we have to state its domain and range. So from what we know is that domain of inverse function is equal to the range of this function. And the range of the inverse is equal to the domain of k. So according to the question itself, they gave you the domain of k already. So from here we know the range is the same as the domain, so domain will be, the range will be k prime. So prime, now k inverse will be between 1 and 101. So this is the range of k inverse. That's the first thing we have derived from this relationship. Now what is the domain of k inverse? So we have to use these values, right? We can see this is the value of x that you can take. This is the max value of x you can take. So bring it back here, you can see k, let's take 1. You will have 1 plus 1 minus 5 square. That will be 1 plus, what is that value? Let's check. That should be, so here we have, domain is x values, my bad. Domain is x values, so that's not the right way. It is not the y values, we're trying to find the x values. So remember, domain, whenever you ask for domain, it is asking you for the x values. For range, it is asking you for the y values. Remember that. So we know that for this value of x, so let's replace x inside, you will have y equal to, this is y, sorry, so y will be 1, for example. We have to find the value of x. So that will be x minus 5 is 0, x will be 5. So you have the domain x, for the first value will be 5, and how about this one? So same step, take this one now, that will be 101 is 1 plus, you will have 100 is equal to x minus 5 square, so that will be 10, so that will be 15. So this will be, so whenever you write x, x means your domain, and whenever you write the function itself, it means y, y will be your range. So this is the range and this is the domain of the two functions. And that will be your question number 11. So let's move on to the last question of this paper, question number 12. So we have to solve the equation, meaning we have to find the values of a for this domain. Now, first one is 8 sine square a plus 2 cos a. So here we have square. So as you guys know already, sine square a is equal to what? It is equal to 1 minus cos square a. The reason why we changed that to this is because here we have cos and we want to have a function in terms of cos. That's why we changed it to cos. So you will have 8 times this will be 8 minus 8 cos square a plus 2 cos a equal to 7. Now let's send everything to one side. You will have 8 cos square a minus 2 cos a. 7 minus 1 will be minus 8 will be minus 1 equal to 0. So now we have a quadratic equation. So we have to factorize 2 brackets equal to 0. 8 is 4 times 2. So here will be cos a and cos a. And 1 is just 1 times 1. Now we have to make these multiplication become minus 2. To get minus 2, we have to have minus 4 and plus 2. So minus 4 plus 2 will be minus 2. So let's find the value of cos a. Cos a will be minus 1 over 4 and cos a will be half. So let's find the values of a. So here we can see it is positive. If cos is positive, it will be in your first quadrant and in your fourth quadrant. This is theta and this is 360 minus theta. But since we have the domain between 0 and 180, which is only the first two quadrants, we don't need to find this one. Okay, so first value of a will be cos inverse of half, and that should give you 60 degrees. You can check. So let's use degrees here. Cos inverse of half, 60 degrees. Okay, that is the first value of a. Now for this one, whenever cos is negative, it has to be, let's check, it has to be in your second quadrant and your third quadrant. But here we don't need the third quadrant because of our domain is only in the first and second. So we need only this one. This one is 180 minus theta. So let's first find the value of theta. Theta, so whenever I have a negative value here, I use this trick. So first I find theta, which is not a. It is equal to cos inverse of the positive value of this. 1 over 4. That should give you 75.5. But this is not your answer. You have to find a. So given that a is your second quadrant, it has to be 180 minus this. 180 minus 75.5, that will be 104.5. So 0.5. So here we go. We have only two values for a. A is 60 and 104.5 degrees for part 1. Now let's move on to part 2. Here we have cosec 3b plus 1 equal to 2.5 for b between 0 and pi radians. So the first thing here we have to realize, what is cosec? Cosec is 1 over sine. So x here, for example, so that will become sine of the angle 3b plus 1 is equal to 1 over 2.5, right? Now we make a drawing here for the quadrants. As you can see, it is positive. It will have to be in your first quadrant and your third quadrant. This is theta and this is 180 minus theta. But since this is positive value, we don't need to go through that step. We can just do it directly, okay? So 3b plus 1 is equal to sine inverse of 1 over 2.5. So sine inverse of 1 divided by 2.5, that should be, in terms of radians, that will be 0.412. Now let's find the value for the other angle. So this is the first angle, this is the other angle, which is 180 degrees is pi degrees, sorry, pi radians minus 0.412. That should be 2.73. So right now we have 3b is equal to what? 0.412 minus 1, that will be minus 0.588, and now 1.73. So something we have to check here is that we know that b is between 0 and pi radians. But here we have 3b. What is 3b between? Let's check. That would be 0 and 3 pi. What is the value of 3 pi? Let's check. 3 pi will be 9.42. So 9.42. So it means we have a lot of space from these numbers to 9.42. So we can test to see what other possible values we may have. So if you want to test, you can add 2 pi to them. Add 2 pi to see what is the other possible values. So minus 0.588 plus 2 pi, that will be 5.70, and then 1.73 plus 2 pi, that will be 8.01. Now let's try one more thing. Let's try to add 2 pi to this one again to see if you have other values. So 5.7 plus 2 pi, that will be 11.90. That will be too much, right? So we don't need that one. So right now we only have these 4 values, but this one is outside the range. We will not take this one. We'll take the remaining 3 values. So going back, b is equal to, first one is 1.73 divided by 3. That will be 0.577. 5.70 divided by 3, that will be 1.90, and 8.01 divided by 3, that will be 2.67. So you have 3 values for the angle of B. Okay, and that will be your last question of this paper. I hope that was somewhat helpful. As always, thank you for watching, and I will see you soon.